everyone, this is Self-Made Millennial. I'm Madeline Mann, and today you'll learn how to get a job in another country. And I'm bringing in Kevin Jon from the fantastic YouTube channel Management Consulting Insights, who explains how he lived in Germany and knew no one in China and went on to land a fabulous job in China in the city of his choice. He goes into detail about the steps he took, and these can be duplicated for your situation as well. Make sure you stay to the end because Kevin shares the make or break thing he did over a year before his move that ultimately solidified his ability to get a job in China when the time was right. This is the playbook, folks. Let's jump in. Hey, Kevin. Welcome to Self-Made Millennial.
Hello, Madeline. It's good to be here.
Yes, and I'm so excited because you'll be telling us how to get a job in another country, which you've done successfully. So I want to dive right in and understand, what is the first step I should take if I'm looking to get a job in another country?
For me, there's really 3 steps when we talk about how to get into another country. The first rather obvious step is that you need to have a long-term vision for your career. So I have some people approaching me and asking me very short-sighted or short-term career questions. And to be honest, it's always important to embed these short-term questions into a long-term strategic view about your career. So what I like to do is have a 10-year, a 3-year, and a 1-year career plan, and then think about how does this switch to another country, how does it fit into this long-term 10-year plan. Now, once you've done that, once you're clear about where you're heading towards, make a pro and con list. So whatever country you're looking at, really make an effort to get as much information about the country beforehand as possible. And then stage 3, you need to take care of all the administrative stuff, of course. So that's something where I would suggest personally to draw up kind of like a timeline, because there's some things you need to consider or start doing 1 year before going there. There's some things you need to do, take care of 3 months before, for example, taking care of your visa stuff.
What would go on the 1-year list? What's something we have to make sure to do a year ahead?
Yeah, so for me on the 1-year list, it was really the questions like what city in the country. So for me personally, I had a couple of country options, but then it was also about within those countries, what cities do I want to target? So that's something I put on my long-term list to really talk with people beforehand and get a feeling for the environment.
So it's a lot of the research. Make sure you're researching a year ahead of time. And I can see people say, okay, talk to people in those countries and get to know it. I could see people go, I don't know anyone there. I want to go there, but I don't know anyone there. What would be your advice for if someone has that reaction to that advice?
I would really recommend 3 very specific platforms. And for me, that's LinkedIn, Reddit, and Quora. So all of these platforms, LinkedIn, of course, is the best for networking. You can just type in the country and then basically text random people, tell them, hey, I'm looking for a job and I'm looking for a job in your country. Do you just have a minute to talk, or can you just answer this one question? It's a numbers game. If you text 50 people, you will probably get 5 to 10 solid replies. Next one, of course, Quora and Reddit, and I think those are rather similar, but both of them have sections and questions about each specific country. Plus, of course, you can text all of these people who you see in those threads and who seem to be providing good answers. And these people usually are the ones who, because they are already sharing their knowledge for free, right? So these people are usually pretty benevolent. So they like to share information. So if you just drop them a personal message being like, hey, I read your message, I read your answer, it was a great one, and I have a couple of follow-up questions, they are usually pretty open to connect.
Yeah, what I love about what you just said is you tied the message of asking for more help to something that they actually did. That it's not, it's nice when you even with these LinkedIn messages, even if you say something like,
hey, I saw that you made the move from, Germany to China. That's so fascinating. I would love if I could just have 5 minutes of your time to hear a little bit about your journey, because I would love to mirror that potentially in my own career. Okay, so we've done all this research. We know where we want to go. What's our next step? Like how are we then going to actually get our application seen or get through the door?
Really, the number one thing you need to ask yourself is, what's my unique selling proposition in that country? What's my USP? Generally, I would say there's a couple of common options of what your USP might be. The first one, and it's a very obvious one, is the language. So coming from outside, usually you speak another language. Now that's one option. The second option, in my estimation, most of the time, is the market knowledge. So you are coming from one market. So you're coming from the US, for example. You have lots and lots of market knowledge about the US that people in your destination country don't have. Of course, now you need to be clever about it, and you need to find an employer that values those USPs, because not everybody wants you to needs market knowledge about HR in the US, but that's where, again, the research part comes into play. Why are we talking about this? As soon as you know this USP, make sure to really emphasize it throughout your CV, throughout your cover letter, maybe throughout the messages that you might send out through LinkedIn to get in touch and network with the people.
So as we're doing this research, as we're figuring out what our USP is, do you have any recommendations of what kind of careers to be more practically focused on?
If you have a strata of jobs, on the one hand, you have low paying. On the other hand, you have high paying and highly specialized jobs. It's usually on both of these ends, you usually have good demand. If you are going to be an English teacher, you can do that in many, many countries. And not to go against any English teachers, but for example, being an English teacher in China, anybody who speaks English can do it. They literally require no pre-qualifications, certificates, etc. from you. And then on the other hand, you have those highly specialized jobs, like a bioscientist or some kind of hedge fund specialization job that are obviously being super lucrative, highly paid jobs. But then there's really just a super tiny amount of people who can get into those jobs. Now, where it becomes a little bit difficult is all of these jobs in the middle. So if you're a recent graduate, you basically have no experience, you're not highly specialized on one topic. At the same time, you have pretty high expectations towards your pay, right? That's usually where you're competing against too many people from the same country.
If I am that person who, is out of undergrad recently or been working for a couple of years, do you recommend that I start getting, I make my 10-year plan, right? I start getting a little bit more specialized in what I do, and then I start pursuing jobs in another country?
Let's stick to my example. What I did with China, and this is necessary in China, for example, is you need to have work experience of a couple of years. So I don't remember exactly. I think they need 2 years of work experience before they will even consider you for a working permit. When you take these experience, even if you do it just for 1 year or 2 years, you will be able to contrast that to what you experience in the country that you're going to.
One thing we know about getting a job is that, and something that I preach, is that having a great application, okay, that's good, but that generally isn't necessarily what will really get you far. What are some of the ways that you maybe, didn't just rely on having a nice resume to get in the door at some of these amazing companies?
The number one lever you can pull is networking. Now, for myself, what that meant was going to China 2 years before I actually wanted to move to China. And before that, I contacted 70 or 80 people on LinkedIn. I researched them, all people from the VC industry, and I sent them messages. Some of them really simple messages hey, I'm going to be in China for 2 weeks in Shanghai. do you have time for a coffee? Some of them, if I found something interesting about their profile, I kind of had a commonality. I said, hey, we went to the same university, or at this company, I also did an internship. Would you like to meet for a coffee? And then some people, even if I was able to find something about their profile that was that I could improve, or something about a company or something they've been doing that I could improve. So maybe they had a blog and kind of the design sucked. I said, hey man, like I just noticed like there's improvement potential here and there. Would you like to discuss this on a coffee? Just give me 30 minutes of your time and I'm happy to meet you. And so I contacted all these people, and then in the end, I ended up with 30 meetings or so, and had these meetings really scheduled throughout the weeks when I was there, every day 2 or 3 meetings. And this way, for the first time, I built kind of like a small network of people in the right industry that I'm interested in China. Now, I did that 2 years or 1.5 years before I went to China, actually. So, of course, you can't then go away to your home country and then disappear and expect them to help you with anything. So, of course, what you need to do is then nurture these contacts, right? So, like the most simple things, like when they have birthday, make sure to congratulate them, or when you see them doing something amazing, then like maybe have been promoted, then not just comment, like write a comment, but actually make the effort to write a message that goes a little bit further than congratulations. So when I started being clear about, okay, now I actually want to quit and now I'm actually going to make the move, I started reaching out to these people and asking them, hey, like, are there any opportunities? I'm going to China again, blah, blah, blah. And that's then how one person told me, hey, for my company, I'm building this one new kind of accelerator and fund, and I need someone to build it up for me. So would you like to do that? So that was really how it came about.
I love this, Kevin, so much, because I think a lot of people think that, first of all, that networking is where you have to go into a big room and talk to people. I'm same as you. I sit on my couch and network all day. You target people, you send out these messages, and I love that you send out so many messages and you got less than a 50% response rate. Less in, like, I even think that 30 out of whatever you said, like 80 is still really high. Like that's a really high response rate. Like if you're getting like 1 out of 5 people responding to you, I think that's like more normal. But I love this because you did this 2 years ahead of time. And that's why I feel like all of your advice kind of goes together in that it's a timeline, right? Like you don't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to China. It's really, there's skills that are built. There are relationships that are cultivated. And I love that. And I do have, for anyone who wants like an actual email template, I do have one for everyone. It's in my book, Fill in the Blank Job Hunt. So there's templates on how to approach people about going to a new city, and then how to follow up with them. So I will link that in the comments. So all of this has been so actionable. Thank you so much for being on the channel today, Kevin. And where can we find you?
So I think there's 3 places that I want to mention. First one is my YouTube channel. So Management Consulting Insights, as the name suggests, it's all about management consulting and building a career in that field. And then I would say also the Kevin Jon on Instagram, or thekevinjon.com is my website. So feel free to send me a message and I'm happy to answer any follow-up questions.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much, Kevin. Wi-Fi high five.
Bye-bye.